Testing.
John.
Yeah.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
What's up, John?
How you doing, Coach?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I had to get one of you guys up early today.
That's what I heard. You're shipping Merritt back home?
Yeah, 6 a.m. plane. So I leave at 4:30 every day, so it just works. So, but I had to get him out of bed at 4 o'clock. I said, dude, you got to get up. This is like John Frederick's time, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, in the morning, getting it going with new backdrop.
Pittsburgh.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, we're going to Washington, so we got to up things a little bit. Just signed a lease there, so and I just bought those stations in West Virginia. So effectively, when we put the thing into the FCC, we're controlling your flagship starting February 1.
Okay.
Not that matters. It's all good. Tyler, what do we have? A minute? What's the timeline here, Tyler? Oh, we're live now. Okay. Tyler, I didn't get the countdown, so sorry about that, everybody. We're live right now. Coach Saban's with us. This is the Call-In Coaches Hour. West Virginia University head baseball coach Steve Sabans. Those of you that don't follow West Virginia baseball, you should be following it because they went to the Super Regionals last year. I think they have a better team this year, so we're excited about all the good things that they're going to be able to do. And Coach Saban's with us. So, Coach, you just sent your team home for Thanksgiving break. They get back for a couple of weeks, then Christmas, and then basically you just put your schedule out. Let's get to that before we get to December. I'm fired up about your schedule. I don't know how you did this, but there's some great games. And what I saw, and we did that was a little bit out of the box, is you scheduled back-to-back games midweek, like Tuesday and Wednesday. So you travel, then you come home, then you play Tuesday, Wednesday, then you're home. So it's every other week you guys are out of town in that huge Big 12 conference. What was and you guys open against what? Jacksonville, and then you go to Nashville, and then you come home. What was the thought process behind scheduling all those games, Coach, middle of the week?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So because of our location, we've had an unbelievable fall, but you can see behind me in that window a little bit. We got some snow in Morgantown, West Virginia right now. It's coming down pretty good, but to start the season in February, you don't have much of a choice. You have to go on the road because of threats of weather. And so it all comes down to if opponents are willing to play you 4 games or only 3-game series. We always want to play 4 games. We want to see our pitching depth. We want to play lots of guys, figure out what our team's all about. But some of the mid-majors have a little bit less depth or pitching talent on their rosters. So sometimes they're weary of rolling out 4 straight games because they'll run out of bullpen arms. So we play Jacksonville for 4 games to start, which is awesome. And then we can go straight to Lipscomb for 3 games. We come home and play Ohio February 25th. So that's sometimes a little hit or miss in Morgantown in February. Yeah. But some days it's 60 and sunny, so we'll have at it. Then we go to Queens, which is in Charlotte, North Carolina. We play them 4 games. Then we come home and play Kennesaw State for 3. And you're right, we mix in a couple of those double midweeks. One's during spring break. So we said if we're going to play 5 games in a week, let's do it when the kids have no school. So a little bit less on their plate. All you got to concentrate is baseball, eat, sleep, see family, compete. And we have a really cool opportunity a little bit later in the year where we play 2 quote-unquote rival games on a midweek. We play Tuesday against Ohio State, which is a very good competition with a new head coach there. And then we play Pitt on Wednesday, the day before. So Pitt maybe got the best draw. They'd rather play the Mountaineers after we just played our 4th game of the week. They're going to be our 5th game, but we're excited to play those guys in Morgantown. It's at home, so we'll call it even there. But I think we do have a really good schedule. You start on the road for about 3 consecutive weekends in a row, and then you're able to come back home for that 4th weekend against a good Georgia team in Kennesaw State.
Well, that's going to be a lot of fun. And I love your schedule. Very, very competitive. I mean, you're certainly going to set your team up, hopefully to go deep in the playoffs. Once again, I think you got a shot to win the Big 12. So that's going to be fun. And of course, now the Big 12 is expanded. So when we travel, we're not going up the road, right? So you're going to Provo, you're going to Arizona State, you're going to Houston, you're going to Southern Florida or Central Florida. So a lot of travel coming up. We talked about that the last time that you were on, but I love the way the NCAA has done this for you because you're not on the road 2 consecutive weeks. So you go on the road, come home for a weekend, go back on the road, come home for a weekend. And look, you can say, well, it's tough on our team. Well, it's tough on the other teams coming in because they got to face the same thing. So I think we're going to be in good shape. But I love the schedule. It's exciting. Let's just go there first. I got my season tickets. I'm fired up, right?
Nice
And
job,
I got
Johnny.
season tickets. Right. You got to get your season tickets to West Virginia baseball. Just go to WVUbaseball.com. Get your season tickets there. Don't be buying them at the door. You're gonna be up in the bleachers. Get your season tickets now. They're guaranteed. And look, I get free tickets as a parent. I've said this before. I love my parents. I love all our parents. I love them all. But I can't do the parent thing, the golf clap and all. I just can't do it. I got to sit down with the rabble rousers. So we got our season tickets. So everybody get those. What do you do now between you got the Thanksgiving break, you come back for a couple of weeks, then you go to Christmas, then you come back, and then like in a month you're playing baseball, real games. How do you, as a coach, how do you keep your kids sharp during this interim?
Yeah, there's a lot to it. Before I get there, you need to get season tickets now because last year we broke the season ticket record. We broke the single game record. We broke the weekend series attendance record, and then we broke the all-time season attendance record. So everything got smashed last year. Season tickets are going to run out at our place this year. And so you have this opportunity before the season starts to kind of jump on it. And I think we got a chance to sell out every home game if we really work to do that. This time of year is the scariest time of year for coaches because we just went and worked, man. These kids gave it everything they got. The last 2 days we had practice and they worked tirelessly, but you could see they were drained. The guys were dead. There wasn't a lot of gas left in the tank, which is how it should feel. You shouldn't have a lot by the end of it. If you do, it probably means that you've been holding back some energy and not giving everything you had every day. So I really think that these kids were tapped out and hopefully they feel like I gave everything I had. So now we have a little bit of a break and we will get going back around the first of the year. So not too long, but 6 weeks. You got to really pay attention to your body. You got to pay attention to your health. You got to get mentally in a really good place because the season can be a grind. So it's some combination of rest, recovery, training, and some baseball activity in there. But I think we've navigated so our guys get back in town and we have enough time to ramp up for the season. But every single year, John, it doesn't matter. Every year, somebody goes into the Christmas and you're thinking that guy's going to have trouble making the team or the 30-man roster once conference starts gets here. And then somebody else is a lock to be a starter or a 30-man roster guy. You come back from Christmas break and it's a new story. Someone made a big jump positively and someone made a jump negatively the other direction. Every year, it just, what do you do when people aren't watching you? Are you a self-starter? Are you motivated? Do you get after it? Or are you a guy that, is pretty complacent and eats too many of mama's cookies when you go home from Christmas? So there's always two sides of the coin. But for the most part, we think we're going to have a group of guys that handles business.
Do you your roster's pretty set now, right? You've gone through all the fall games. Then I understand just from talking to some of your players that the last couple of weeks were as grueling as the middle of the fall. You had a lot of outings, a lot of innings by your arms. Do you have a pretty good sense now of the kind of team you have?
Yeah, we're getting closer for sure. It was such a cool opportunity after quote unquote team practice ended. We had some guys that needed to continue to develop. And so we had some guys that you're able to really slow down with and concentrate specifically on areas that they needed to get better at. And there was kids that made huge jumps. Like couldn't be more proud of some of the guys that kept going and kept working. And we got such good energy from the kids. I hope and I believe it's because the staff stayed invested in every single player, regardless if they had the best fall or the worst fall or anything like that. And so I think we have a good idea. Again, there's newness on the mound. So some of that stuff's going to be performance oriented. Once you get to the spring, who handles the pressure, who handles the day-to-day grind, who handles the travel, who can take care of themselves well. But I think we started to have a good idea of where we stand. We still haven't even met as a staff as far as, hey, where does everybody see all of these players? How do we rank these guys? What do we really think? It's been full steam ahead on development. Get your team better, get your team better, get your team better. And then now over the next couple of weeks, we can sit in offices and talk about what we saw, and we can look at analytics and really dive more into who did what this fall.
Who jumped out at you when you said, it's kind of interesting because, a lot of the people watch the fall games, so you kind of know who did well. Who jumped out at you in kind of the post-fall that you had to do some development with, and like there was like kind of eye-popping? Anybody specifically?
Yeah,
in your head?
Both on the pitching and on the position player side. Kyle West is a great one. So Kyle West had some success last year, specifically in the super regional, hitting homers, and really struggled this fall. Didn't have a very good fall. And over the last 3 weeks was undoubtedly the best hitter on the team. So he just all of a sudden you're going like, holy smokes, this guy might hit in the big leagues. Grant Hussey was the same way. He's consistently gotten better, but over the course of the last 3 weeks made a really big jump. Brody Kresser, same way. On the pitching side, Tucker Delisle, Joe Fredericks, and Aiden Smith both made really big jumps. Both those guys' last outings were incredible. And when you have 20, 22 pitchers pitching in the fall, if you're more of a reliever profile, you might have 1 inning or 2 innings at a whack at the most. And so during this span, we were able to slow down and have people go out for 3 inning span. So regardless of results, you work through things. Like you figure it out mentally, you figure it out physically, you get challenged, you go to 50 pitches every time. So to have 3 or 4 outings of 50 pitches with 3 innings at a time, people just get comfortable. They kind of settle in and they're going, man, maybe I was making this a little harder than it needed to be. I'm in control here, right? And that's just this developmental curve of young guys figuring stuff out. But those 3 pitchers all had some really, really good outings where you're going, that's what you're capable of. That's 3 innings with, 1 hit and 7 punchies. So I was really excited about those guys, but across the board, it was exciting for the last 3 weeks.
So when do you have to pare your roster down, right? Did it go to 35 this season, or is it still 40?
It's 40, and that's you don't have to do that until the very first game. So before the first game, you have to go to 40. And then when conference starts, you have to set a 30-man roster. And all that means is that only 30 people can enter a game when you play conference games. That's a Big 12 rule. And so you have to eventually get to 40 guys. Okay, we're gonna throw 40 guys on the bus to head to Jacksonville. It's hard to play 40 players. And then once you get to conference, you have to get that to 30. It's hard to play 30 players, but it's all some combination of talent, deserving, ceiling. So like, who do you think's going to keep developing and getting better? Who do you see in the future being great for your program? So a lot of different factors go into that.
And the NCAA cut the roster to 35. Where's that starting in 2026?
34. The NCAA changed the roster to 34, and that will begin basically a year from today for the 2026 spring season.
Right, 2026.
Yep.
Okay, well, like to tell you what, your team sounds like it's coming together. I know you got a lot of arms. You You got starters. I mean, you replace all four of your starting pitchers. That's very hard to do, but I think what you've done is incredible there. Now, the portal is still open, right? So if you maybe had players during the fall that maybe thought, I'm not going to get the PT I thought I was going to get, can they possibly still transfer out? Is that still in the mix?
Yep, it actually opens on Monday after Thanksgiving break. So December 2nd, I think that is, or maybe December 1st, a player could enter the portal. I think that window's open for a week or 10 days or 2 weeks, something like that. And so you always just want to have, like anywhere, like you just want, if you work somewhere, you want a boss that's transparent. If you're a player, you want a coach that's transparent. You just have to have conversations about depth chart, where guys stand. In football, it's super common. You look out there and you're the fifth wide receiver, and you either got to work to get better to become the number 2 dude, or you go somewhere else to get more PT. And so that's my job, just to be transparent, let kids know this is how we see you. There's nobody in this program that's not a great worker and an awesome kid that loves West Virginia. That's a fact. You don't get to get here unless you're a worker and you're a great kid. So all these kids are wonderful human beings, but there's some reality of playing time and what they choose to do with their career. So they need to be empowered with information by just making decisions on what's best for them.
Coach, let's talk about some of the cool things you've got coming up. Tyler will extend this a couple of minutes. First of all, your banquet, January 25th. Tell us about that and how can people go?
Yes. The banquet is January 25th, and tickets for the public are going to open up on December 1st. J.J. Weatherholt, who was a first rounder, 7th overall to the St. Louis Cardinals, he's been kind enough to come back, and so he's going to be a speaker at the event. We just hired some dueling pianos for some live entertainment there. We'll have hundreds of thousands of dollars of auction items at the event. We hired a big league caterer, and so that'll be at Milan Park. The goal is to have 1,000 people there that are supporting WVU baseball. All of our players, families, managers, families, supporters, donors, fans basically come out and celebrate these kids who have made WVU baseball into a national brand and a top 25 program, and to celebrate an upcoming season. So just a night to get dolled up, to see the people that love the thing that we love in WVU baseball, and to celebrate the kids. It should be a really, really fun event. Maybe most importantly, every single dollar that's raised through sponsors, table sponsors, auction items, every dollar goes to the players, helps us build a great roster, helps these kids pay for school. Our kids that are on NIL deals, they're paying for school. They're not driving Lamborghinis in front of Ken Kendrick Ballpark. We're just paying for school. We're giving them we're basically saying thanks to these kids who give their life to represent this state and this university. And so if you can get there, we want you there. We need your help. We need table sponsors. We need people to support the team.
Well, I tell you what, it's certainly a blue collar, hard hat, carry your lunch bucket atmosphere. There are no Lamborghinis driving around at WVU in the baseball parking lot. I'll guarantee you that. So banquet on January 25th. Ann and I will certainly be there. We encourage other people to go. Tickets go on sale December 1st. People want to buy tickets, Coach, where do they go?
Not available yet. December 1st, we will have a public link available. If you want to buy a table or sponsor the event, email wvuinnercircle@gmail.com.
That's good. wvuinnercircle@gmail.com, and you can get your table there. And encourage everybody to do that. Bring all your friends. It's going to be quite the celebration. The Mountaineer Challenge after Thanksgiving, what is that?
That is essentially a strength and conditioning, endurance, grit meter for all of our players. So we're going to separate these guys into 4 different teams. We'll have a draft. So you'll have some leaders of each team, and those leaders will essentially attempt at selecting the toughest, the most fit, the most badass Mountaineers to stack their team to then compete over the course of a week. And we'll measure everything that you can measure with a scoring system. I can't reveal all the challenges because the players won't know the day before, but there'll be events early in the AM, like when John wakes up, for this radio show. There'll be some events in the evening. There might be some hydro sports. There might be some land sports and some events, but essentially they'll compete to be a champion of that team for the Mountaineer Challenge is what we call it. And then the winner, the overall winner, will be a team, and then you'll have an individual winner, and that person will be deemed the Iron Mountaineer. And there's a plaque in our facility that we celebrate the toughest, most badass Mountaineer baseball player each fall.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Final thing, Coach Sabins, we're almost out of time, but you've been an assistant for a long time. This is your first year as head coach, your first time you've been through the cycle in the fall. What is the biggest surprise you've had? I mean, you've been there on the field, you know the players, you were under Coach Mazey, you've got a great reputation, but the one thing that you said, wow, I didn't see that coming as a head coach. What was your biggest surprise so far in the fall?
Not to go two rainbows on you, but really the outlandish support has been incredible. We've just had people that have wanted to donate fiscally. We've had people that have wanted to give their time. We've had so many staff members choose to stay. We've had new staff members move across the country. So just an outpouring of support and people in this community that have said, like, I want to get all in. I want to be there with you. It's probably easier when your record's 0-0, right? Like I got a pretty rose-colored goggles on currently, but I think in general, guys have just been wonderful. The administration, the fans, the donors, people have said, like, I'm in with West Virginia baseball. I want to be part of that. I want to see this program be successful. And so I think for me as an assistant, you're really in the weeds trying to find players and make them better and turn the program into what you want to see it. And so from this chair, I think maybe your head becomes a little bit higher than the weeds, and you start saying, like, man, there's a lot of people in this community that are helping us be great. This isn't one person. This is a ton of people kind of pulling the rope, for lack of a better term. So that piece has been fun for me. It's rewarding to know that some of that work you've been doing as an assistant for a long time, there's a lot of other people involved. So I think more thankful than anything.
Coach, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being with us today. I want to encourage anybody in the area, get your season tickets to West Virginia baseball. I absolutely guarantee you're going to have such a good time, especially on Friday night, especially, not that it matters, but when we have half-price beer before first pitch, just saying, we have so much fun there. The food is fantastic. There's not a bad seat in the house, and that place rocks. It is electric on a Friday and a Saturday. Of course, Sunday you're in the afternoon, so it's a little bit different. But Friday night, Saturday, that place is just jamming. So you got to check it out. West Virginia, go to wvbaseball.com, or if you want to follow Coach Sabins, you can do that at Steve Sabins, and we look forward to carrying on our network in West Virginia and Pittsburgh, all the West Virginia baseball games that'll be coming up.
That's so awesome. I'm fired up about that. It's really cool.
I know, man. It's so cool, right? You'll be in Pittsburgh. You got, Pirates, West Virginia baseball. Pick one. I'll pick West Virginia baseball. Not a Pirates fan. No problem with them. Just, they give away all their good players, and they're worse than the Titans. So forget them. Coach, thank you. Someday I'm going to get you to call our owner, Amy Adams, and just ask her, like, Amy, WTF, right? What the hell's going on here? Coach, thanks for being with us. Our Titans team, we suck. Coach, thank you. At Steve Sabins. Michael Patrick Leahy, right now.
Thanks a lot, John.
Thanks, Steve. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
You too.